Alright, so that was that. Now, we're moving on. We're moving on to the law and literature. It's a new unit. Today we're going to identify, comment on, compare specific aspects of expository texts. First, I want to just ask you this question. Start off the unit. What is the law, and what does it have to do with language?
Nothing.
You create law by language.
You use language to create law. And you have to pay attention to the language in which you write the law.
I'm hearing a lot of very interesting responses. And those responses tell me that you're already sort of aware of
Wait, that's right? I thought it was
how to respond to this question. But let's just take it a piece at a time. First of all, why do we have law?
so that
Raise your hand if you have an answer to the question. Why do we have laws? Benjamin?
keep peace.
To keep peace. Can you be more specific?
As in so that like no one will do any crazy stuff like killing people.
Alright, but people still do that, correct?
That's what
They go to jail.
if you can do anything you want, like there's no laws and then you can kill people. A lot of people can.
So you feel like if there were no law, there would be a lot more killing than there is now.
Maybe I would think you kill somebody.
Okay, so the law does what then?
Keeps order.
Okay, so it keeps order. Alright, Christine. Why do we have laws?
To judge good or bad. To judge the good or the bad.
To judge right from wrong or good and bad
I
actions.
don't like the word judge.
Okay?
Like to control and keep count of everything and it
Keep count.
Yes. Like law. Keep count of like
Law.
law. Not everything is bad and the law. Law. Law keeps count of it keeps count of people and their actions and what they have to pay for the actions. It keeps order also.
Maintains order, kind of like what Benjamin said. Alright, Anita?
To set the boundaries.
To set the boundaries. The boundaries of what?
Freedom. I'm serious. It sets boundaries to freedom because, like, if your freedom kind of affects
Yeah,
another
just let
person's
him
freedom,
talk, it's
then
okay.
Anita, would you like to finish your point?
Okay.
Boundaries of what? No, go ahead.
Like,
helping her, okay?
it's okay, he took my point.
So you were saying, Andrew, the boundaries between
Freedom and freedom.
freedom and freedom. What do you mean by that?
Like, for example, if my freedom
Yes.
affects somebody else's freedom, then I'm supposed to lose my freedom and go to jail, right? Yeah.
Okay, so how, wait, let me just, I'm sorry to interrupt, but how could your freedom affect someone else's freedom?
For example, if I think I have the freedom to kill somebody,
Yeah.
and I did,
And then you do.
I affected their freedom to live. So basically, I had to go to jail.
Okay, so how does the law fit into that?
The law? The law
Just
comes
makes
and
you
go
go
like, you
to
took away
jail.
their freedom, so I'm going to take away your freedom, so I'm going to put you in jail.
So the law says you're not totally free.
Yeah.
Unless you do something that's
not fair.
That's not your point?
It's like, you could do things that you want, but there is a limit of like, what you can do and what you can't do.
Okay, so the law is what sets the limits,
And
like what you
then
said, set boundaries.
Say,
Very different
and
points.
yes. Yep, done.
Yes, sir.
So the government can keep control of our lives.
All right, so now you've brought in the idea of government. So what's the relationship between law and government?
And
They
it's
make it so they can control you.
So governments make laws, and their purpose in making laws
Yeah?
To control.
is, you were saying,
Control. Oh yeah, to control,
To control.
us and our lives and what we do.
to control us and our lives.
Everything. Government controls everything.
You think government controls everything?
Basically.
Is government controlling you,
Theory.
Andrew Lee? Is government? You feel like government is controlling you right now?
No.
Yeah, because
I think I get it. Like,
But China has a government, does it not?
Yes.
Yeah, but I'm American.
You see? Did you hear how he says that? You see? I'm American.
Back alley, nobody can do it. Yeah, but China can block him. They can block him.
Oh, wait, how can it block him?
Block him with
So are you saying, no, it's interesting, Andrew, you feel like you're more free here than you are in America.
America's a free country.
No, honestly, I mean, that's what it sounds like you're saying.
Besides, like, people bias and racism and stuff, yeah.
Okay. So you feel some racism here
No,
against...
no.
Oh, so that is... that's not part of it.
Probably the only thing that you feel weird is that some Chinese lady will bring her baby to you and say, "Can I have my baby take a photo with you?"
Listen, I want you to try to think of why was the first, like think of a story or something that happened that caused the first law to be made.
Somebody
What happened that caused the first law to be made?
Somebody did something.
All right, raise your hand if you'd like to answer.
When was Yeah, what was the first one?
Okay, Andrew, can you take your?
Everything started.
No, I don't want to know when everything started. I'm asking you to try to describe maybe what was like the first situation.
Yeah, the first situation was like you know how people used to be nomads, and then they started settling.
What do you
down?
mean by that, nomad?
Nomads are people who move around and like they don't have a house. And then
You learned this.
they settled down because they discovered farming.
So nomads were traveling around, and you feel like nomadic people.
They work together.
They didn't have any laws.
No. They're just like families or like a tribe.
Okay, and then what happened?
And then like one of them decided that hunting was very bad and like it's risky, so they decided to farm. And they found out how to farm, so they started settling down. And then like only like other nomads started coming. No, not other nomads. Some people started stealing other food from like other people.
Stealing. You think it was stealing?
Yeah.
So I've got a farm. Listen. Andrews, I think Andrew's trying to describe kind of the consequences of transforming from being a nomadic people to being a settled people who have like this is my property, this is my area.
And people started.
All right, and I'm going to grow my vegetables and stuff here. Then, Andrew, are you saying what would happen? You grow this, you start farming, and then
when you like after you harvest it,
you harvest it.
You store it, right? But then like people who don't know how to farm or they just don't, they're too lazy to farm. They just come in and they take the food.
Take it.
And if you see them take it, and they're gonna kill you and stuff. Kill it. And hit you with a stick. But then that wasn't how the law was made because like the farming villages became like there was like the sort of a leader, and then like the villages grew. And then more people came in, and like more crimes. And this very old elder guy came in and said, "From now on, whoever steals anything will get hit in the butt 30 times or something." Okay,
and okay, to get a clue as to how this all developed, in the Bible there was the 10 Commandments. You know that? All right, so let's think about that. Think about what happened. There's this guy named Moses, and he was like the leader.
Yeah.
And he had this claimed to have this special relationship with God. Like he could talk to God. No one else could, but he could. So he goes up, right. He goes up into the mountain, and they have a kind of meeting, and he comes back, and what does he have?
He breaks it. He breaks it.
Yeah, because he was so angry at the people.
No, he breaks one.
Did he break? Okay, so he's got the 10 Commandments.
No, actually they were.
What's that?
And what is were they written down?
Yes.
Okay, written down on stone. Anyway, let's just use that one for an example. Okay, listen, because now we're going to move on to the second element of the question. All right, what does it have to do with language? So let's take this one for instance. Thou shalt not kill. All right, that's what it was. That's how it was written down.
That's the first
That's how it was translated into English.
What does it mean?
Thou shalt not kill. You shall not kill.
You must not kill.
What is it like written?
And this is the old-fashioned language, okay? The Bible was first translated into English in the 1600s, and they used these old, this is the old form of you, and this is the old form of will.
Wait, but then
You will
what's ye?
not kill.
You
Right.
will not
What's ye?
Ye is another form of you. Alright, so translated into modern English, it's you will not kill. You must not kill.
Well, does a cow
Now.
do to a plant?
Okay, great. Now, Ryan has brought up the very interesting question. What does that mean exactly?
Well, he actually didn't say that, but
Are you allowed to kill animals?
No.
Yes, because apparently, yeah, but you can't like. Yeah, because you have to sacrifice.
Raise your hand.
How do you say people in the old language?
People.
Not really, because according to the Bible, I forgot, was it
PPL.
Paul or Peter, one of them? I think the disciples received a dream where there were two angels carrying this cloth with all the animals and say, kill and eat.
bird. Yeah.
Oh yeah, and in the Old Testament too, there was a lot of killing of animals and eating of animals.
Yeah, killing off people.
But there were restrictions on which animals you could eat, but I mean they killed and ate animals, so it certainly couldn't mean don't kill anything. But if you only look at the language of it,
It means you can't. It means
you could interpret it. Okay, and this is what I'm trying to get to.
so they don't
When you ask this question, what is it? What is the law, and what's the relationship to language? Once you write the law down, now it becomes sort of like literature. It can be interpreted.
So we're gonna look close into laws.
Of course we are. Yes. We are going to look at the law as it exists in text form, in word form, and we're going to see how it can be interpreted, how it can be applied. Now this one's has caused a lot of different arguments to develop because this, okay, so let's say, well, we'll narrow it down to people, all right? You should not kill people. Well, there's a problem with that too.
Sacrificing.
No?
But like if you like
Drug
when they go to jail and they have to die.
War. What about war?
Disorder.
If it's my army versus another army,
People will die.
am I not allowed to fight my enemies coming in? Am I not allowed to defend myself?
There's a whole other law on that other places.
Maybe.
Do that for my board.
But to try to make a simple law, all right? You must not kill, and you put it into language. Now it
Hard to make a
becomes
simple law.
possible to interpret it, and as Kaisha just pointed out, it's hard to make a simple law because once people start thinking about it, once lawyers get involved, and they look closely at the language, well, now the simple can become quite complex. In this unit, the law and language, we will be moving to a different kind of text. We will be reading the other kind of text called expository text. So understand, the easiest way to divide up different texts, we have narrative and expository.
What is expository?
All right, it's going to explain it.
It's like
Expository text. Expository texts are texts that report facts.
Oh, like a science.
Exactly, very good.
But it has some stories in it
Make arguments.
that are real.
All right, maybe like your speeches. Speeches are expository.
Oh,
For the most part, unless you're just telling a story.
I see something.
Think about your speech that you gave.
I see something.
Yeah, but his speech. What
Yeah, but
he
that wasn't
told.
narrative.
Yes, and that's what we can often find. We have narratives that are built into expository texts. That can happen. All right. So report facts, make arguments, express opinions, explain ideas. That happens in like your science.
Yeah.
And like the text we'll be studying for this unit, express laws. What kind of text is this?
Expository text.
Very good. It's an expository text. Now, expository should remind you of another term we've already been studying.
He was just saying that.
Very good, Benjamin. It's very much like exposition. And doesn't it sort of make sense? Can you see the relationship?
Yes.
And the exposition part of a narrative is the explaining part. It's like the not story part. So here we have a whole category, though, of text that fits under this term, the expository.
Above that door. I think that one can go above the door.
Yeah, something above the door. Which one?
Just go beside the door. We're outside. Okay, now.
Put that one up there. Alright, can you get the tape?
Okay, that looks good. Okay.
Now
Very nice.
Done. Who is Ryan? Yeah, hey Ryan. Why do you go above and why do you go below?
What do you think? You guys look good up there?
No, I think that's
Very well. It needs to be perfectly centered. Don't you think?
Oh my god, even a student can be truly brilliant. That's what I take. Mr. Everett!
This needs to be moved up a little bit.
You should put one here, like cover the window, because that one's also.
No, I have to do one window open.
Hey, the monitor, don't step on it.
Think about the difference between scientist and Arthur. When this text, the expository text says scientist, it can mean any scientist, couldn't it? So it's more like an idea. So I guess what we could notice is that in the expository text, many of the nouns are a bit more complicated and removed from like our everyday life. So, I mean, what's the difference between a treat timer or a dog or a pet? Those are things we're very familiar with. But in this expository text, does it have those familiar figures?
It has DNA structures.
You know, I know, but can we even see that?
No.
No, it's like very removed from our everyday life. We don't need to really work with DNA, do we? So it's sort of distant. And that's maybe why you feel pain. A lot of you were like, oh.
Physical.
And you said, and Ashley said, it's so dry, right, Ashley? So why is it so dry? So the challenge will be, because we're going to read legal texts.
I'm gonna read this book.
No, we're not going to read about DNA, but we're going to read about laws, and we're going to see how laws are written. All right, so we'll have to be. All right, well, you'll see.
We will see.
All right, now. I want to introduce another term, okay, and we're going to keep moving here. In the expository text, we find many words that are normally used as verbs or adjectives changed into nouns, okay? So that is called nominalization.
What? Normalization.
And if you go back and see the title of this little handout, it's called Expository Text and Nominalization. Do you see that?
Okay.
Now, this is not complicated. It sounds like it is a big word, and it sounds complicated. It sounds complicated, but think about what we did last week. Remember when we spent like 5 minutes trying to figure out the noun form of the adjective specific?
Specificity.
Write it down. All right, I'm hearing some good pronunciation of it. Specificity. So what we were doing was nominalization. Because
not easy.
the process of turning verbs and adjectives, such as specific,
Type some words wrong.
into nouns is called nominalization.
You spelled week wrong.
Oh yeah.
Last week.
Think of last week.
Oh dear.
English teacher. Sorry.
Sorry.
Okay.
No, but you know what? I mean, it's a credit to you for catching it. Good
Does
job.
that mean we all get chocolates? Because that's our free.
I don't have chocolates.
You can
Sorry.
buy chocolates.
I could.
Hershey.
Wow.
Yeah, they're on sale right now, by the way.
3 bars.
All right. So,
What is 3 plus?
Yeah.
what's it called? What's the process of turning specific into specificity called? Say it again.
Nominalization.
All right, nominalization. Why don't we have Ryan read the explanation? Maybe that will help. Go ahead, Ryan.
Government can neither impose a state religion upon you nor punish you for exercising the religion of your choice. You may express your opinions, write and publish what you wish. Gather peacefully with others and formally ask government to correct injustice.
So there you go. All right, good. See, that's why the explanations are in there. And I think that might answer your question, Teresa. Your question was, what does redress mean? And if you look at how the end of the original language says redress of grievances, and if you look at the end of the explanation, it says correct injustices.
What is grievances?
It's I guess you could interpret it to be something that's wrong, something that has been done wrong. Thank you very much, Ryan. That was very eloquently read. So, are there any questions about this First Amendment?
No.
This is a lot about religion, doesn't it?
Because Americans came from England. They speak religious.
It's true what Teresa says. The history of the United States, most of the people that came to the United States and most of the people who were involved in writing this way back in the 1770s were British, or were from Europe at least. And why did they travel all the way across the Atlantic Ocean to come to this strange new land?
Because Christopher Columbus wanted to go the other way instead of Canada.
Christopher Columbus went, 200 years before these guys. And he went to a different part. These guys went over, like Teresa said, to escape religious rules that were basically making it impossible for them to follow their religion.
The boat is called Mayflower, right?
The boat was called the Mayflower.
Oh yeah, they went from Plymouth to Plymouth.
Yeah, that was.
Okay. So they decided to try to separate religion from the government. Government cannot tell you what to believe. It was very important for them that government not try to do that. Because, like Andrew was saying before, it's freedom. How do you decide where one person's freedom intrudes on another person's freedom? So everyone has to be free to believe whatever they want to believe. And to say whatever they want to say. Freedom of speech is part of this First Amendment.
Can I shout out to everybody that I hate the government and won't I go to jail?
All right, very good question, Ashley. Can you do that? Can you, in what circumstance? So, like in the class right now? If you were in the U.S. and you stood up in a classroom and said, I hate the government, you want to say anything else?
I'm going to protest, blah, blah, blah.
I want to protest? You might get in trouble for disrupting the class, okay? But you wouldn't go to jail. Yeah.
Then it says you can have freedom of speech, right?
Mhm.
So it is kind of like implying that you can bully somebody. You can say, for example, you're an idiot, and that's okay.
Okay, now, that's a very interesting question, Teresa. Teresa's saying, look, wait a second. Can this be right? I'm allowed to just turn to anyone I want and say, you're an idiot. Now, that brings up a very good point. There have been exceptions that have been made. So, for instance, in the U.S., there's such a thing as fighting words. And if Teresa, if you were to do that and get right in close to somebody and say something like that, and then they knock you out, they probably won't get in trouble because it was your fault. All right, so let's go to Amendment 2. Anita?
Oh, well regulated.
Militia.
Necessary to the security of the free state. The right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be
All right, thank you very much. And Nicole, can you read the explanation?
Individuals have the right to own and use weapons without interference from the government.
interfered.
Thank you very much.
They just own guns and
So did we find institute, the noun form? I know you're
Yep.
all right, write it down, write it in there. I know you're juggling a lot of different papers here, I'm sorry.
Whoa!
But look, this is what lawyers have to do. So this is totally appropriate.
But the lawyers have a bigger table.
Exactly.
Well, give yourself some more room. Move some of this stuff up.
We have lots of it. Mr. Arthur, do we have to write the definition now?
No, just write the noun form in the blank, okay? So for institute,
Institute.
you write institution. For establish, where did you see that?
And
Yeah, it is in the first.
Is it in the First Amendment?
Yeah. No, prohibiting. Oh yeah, establishment is.
Yeah.
Congress shall make no
Establishment.
law respecting an establishment.
Did you see that? Very good, Kaisha. Thank you very much.
On prohibiting, that's also one.
Prohibiting is not a noun, actually.
It says prohibit.
I know prohibit. Yeah, that's the noun form. So establishment is part of the First Amendment. So that's the noun form of establish. What about interfere?
interference.
Interference, thank you, Andrew. And where did you see that?
It's without government's interference.
Where?
Oh, in the
Second
second
Amendment. In the Second Amendment.
amendment, yeah. No, the part where like
Sophia?
the part where it explains.
What's a C?
So it says individuals, the people, have the right to own and use weapons without interference from the government. So interfere becomes interference, verb becomes noun. Do you know what it means to interfere?
Where's institution?
Disturb, I don't know.
Institution,
Institute. Shoot.
maybe it's in the preamble. But look, let's talk about the Second Amendment for a second. What does it mean?
You can use guns.
It says you have the right to own and use weapons. This is very without being interfered with by the government, without interference by the government.
What does that mean?
No, but that's
What does that mean? Very good question, Andrew. Anyone?
Without getting
So you can use clothing war.
prevent.
Without the government.
I'm reading this.
Okay.
Like, I think you can't really kill anybody because then the government will have to kind of like get into it. They
hmm
want to keep the government out
Like
of it.
self-defense.
Do something that the government won't have to deal with as well.
Like killing pencils.
Like if you use a knife to
Stab someone.
to like cut down
Everybody
trees or
has a knife.
something, the government won't care, so that's okay. But if you're gonna like kill a whole bunch of people, the government will be like, will actually.
You won't be in trouble for using a knife.
Yeah.
You'll be in trouble for
Killing
killing people. All right. Likewise, if you take a gun that you have legally bought, okay,
Just illegal.
and you use it to kill somebody, you won't be in trouble for using the gun. You'll be in trouble for killing a
So
person.
after you pay the fee and do the thing,
So what else
will
can
you
you
still get to keep the gun?
You will not be a prisoner or someone who's been convicted of a crime. Cannot keep the gun. You can't take the gun into jail. I mean, obviously the U.S. is very lenient with guns, but they don't let you take them into prison. Yes, Madalena.
But you can still kill somebody for self-defense, right?
All right. So in some cases, if someone's pointing a gun at you, or if someone's attacking you and you legally have the gun, say you're a policeman, and you use the gun to protect yourself. If you're not a policeman, there would be a more complicated case, but it would be possible that you would not be in trouble. If you were really threatened by another person and you thought that person was going to kill you. But you would have to convince a jury of people, impartial people, to believe you. So it would be difficult to prove self-defense.
The cliff has something to like.
The cliff's the story.
Yeah, the story. There's like.
So yes, the woman would she would say he was attacking me. I stepped out of the way. Never touched him. Fell on his own.
I wish Ben.
But really, I mean, if we follow what that story, if we follow only what information that story gives us, she's not at fault, correct?
And another like.
Yeah, she killed her first husband.
Yeah, the first husband he killed.
Oh my god.
Right, she would be in trouble.
No, but she did. She's not.
She wasn't involved in that.
Yeah, she wasn't.
Yeah, so she's the perfect. She's fine.
But she still killed her.
She was still probably wanted that person to be dead.
Why is her dead? Oh, you dropped her.
But I don't think she would be guilty of any crime. So this is very controversial because you've probably heard stories of all of the murders and use of guns in America, correct?
Yes.
And so most people don't understand. Why do you let everybody buy guns? You're crazy. The Americans are crazy. And China, nobody has guns here. And you'll read the Chinese Constitution. You see if you find any Second Amendment in the Chinese Constitution. If the Chinese government says every citizen has the right to own a gun, guess what? You won't find it.
You won't see him out there.
My house will.
Why does the United States allow their cidizens to do this?
Maybe because
Because they know they have power.
Raise your hand if you'd like to answer that question. Why does the government give the citizens the right to own and use weapons? I mean, guns, deadly weapons. Yes, sir.
They're able to control them.
Who? The government is able to control who?
The crimes.
The crime. Blah, blah, blah.
But wouldn't this jeopardize the government's ability to control if they say all the citizens can own guns?
yay.
Wouldn't that make it more difficult for them to control?
And then the mayor is there like right on top. And
Another answer? Yes, Teresa?
At that time, you have to imagine, at that time, they can't go to a supermarket to get meat. They had to go out and get meat.
So hunting?
Yeah.
So for hunting purposes, you needed to allow the citizens to own and use weapons. So that they could hunt for animals and get meat. That's a pretty interesting answer.
Maybe the government people then really trusted their people.
Okay, so they just really trusted the people. They let them have guns. They're good people. They won't do anything bad. They won't do anything bad with them.
Where the law is enforced, and then they get captured. So,
Okay. Yes, Kaisha.
okay, I don't know much about bombs, but I'm just saying this. If you have a bomb in your pocket and it actually drops off and explodes,
All right. Now there might be a question of whether a bomb is a weapon, as defined here. I don't think you could have any defense with a bomb. You're not allowed to. You're not allowed. Nobody's selling bombs. You're not allowed to go out and buy a bomb.
bombs for sale.
Well, I guess that's
Remote control grenade.
Are you allowed to hold grenades?
Bombs for sale.
If you're a soldier in war. Okay, Teresa.
But also probably nowadays they still keep this law because of 9/11. Because the people, and like that, so terrorists come out in the street. They can just.
All right, now look. Hey, listen. Teresa makes a very interesting point because guess what happened? If you don't know the story of 9/11, the people were on an airplane. Okay?
Well, I know that.
Now what did they do? How did they take control of the airplane?
Guns.
No, the terrorists did not have guns.
No.
Raise your hand. Yes,
I'm
Nicole?
not sure, but like I read about it, and they said like they were trained to be a pilot, and then they put like I don't remember all of it, but they were trained to become a pilot, and then they went inside the pilot's room.
The cockpit.
Yeah, the cockpit room, and then they flew into the place, and then now they can't go in there anymore.
All right. So yes, there were a number of changes made after that happened. So you're correct. The terrorists were trained and to how to fly those big planes.
But what were the pilots?
And what happened was they just had little knives used to cut carpet, and they used those. Then they got into the cockpit. Now guess what? All pilots now, what do they have in the cockpit?
Guns.
That's right. So what Teresa was saying, that people think, look, I need to be able to buy a gun because I don't know what other crazy person has a gun, and I need to be able to protect myself. Please, Christine.
I was trying to say that
On the
when
plane?
he said like he said like you don't know who other crazy people have guns, so you must have a gun. Then why is like anybody doesn't have a gun? You don't need to be worried every day.
Very, very good counter-argument, Christine. Very good counter-argument. If no one has guns, then not everyone won't have to have
They
guns.
can buy guns somewhere, like there's like these places you can buy guns.
And then there's that whole problem. That there are guns out there, and if a bad person wants to get a gun, whether it's illegal or not, probably be able to get it.
I have a point, like kind of like Teresa. Does that not to like control terrorists to like control each other?
Control each other.
The government doesn't have to like possess weapons to control the citizens. The citizens can kind of like.
I see what you're saying. I see what you're saying. The idea is, if we let everyone have guns, they'll sort of control each other because everybody's afraid of everybody else.
Yeah.
Okay, very interesting.
Like what he said about mutual something in the debate of the bomb.
Mutually assured destruction. That was the idea with if we let every country have nuclear weapons, none of them will actually bomb each other because they know that if I send bombs, then I'll be destroyed. So it was a kind of weird, twisted way of maintaining peace. Jessica, could you read Amendment 3?
What, me?
Jessica.
Alright, Jessica, and then Ben.
No silver shall
A little bit louder, please, Jessica.
no silver shall in time of peace be recorded in any house without the consent of the owner and son or in a manner to be prescribed by law.
And the explanation, Andrew.
One sentence.
The government cannot force you to help decision.
Alright, so this isn't a very important amendment.
I don't get it.
It's just a long time ago. Again, it's like you got to remember it was written so long ago that at that time the military might be like walking through your town and say, "We've got guns, you've got a house, we're cold, you've got a nice fire burning in there. Get out of your house, we're coming in." All right, so this says cannot do that. It protects the citizens from being kind of overwhelmed by a bunch of soldiers. Come here. Where are your papers?
I thought you were giving her treats. I thought that you were gonna like staple her or something.
Keep them together. Find that girl. You say thank you to her.
Thank you. Oh, okay.
Tell her why you're saying thank you. She won't understand why you're saying thank you to her. You have to explain it to her.
I'm gonna see you tomorrow, Mr.
Okay, sir.
Bye, Mr.